that isn't meant for you. All right, Pisces, let's get into your reading. All right, the message that I have for you today is this, and it needs your full attention. There's a person carrying unbearable pain because of the distance that has grown between you two. They are still deeply in love with you, and that love has not faded by a single fraction. The separation is not something they chose willingly, and it is tearing them apart from the inside. What they hold for you never dimmed, and it has only intensified with every passing day of separation. This person wants the gap to close desperately, and every day without resolution weighs heavier on them. The ache they carry is constant and unrelenting, following them relentlessly into every waking hour without any mercy. What the cards confirm today is that this connection never actually ended. It only went underground temporarily. The bond between you still pulses with life, and they feel that pulse louder than anything else nearby. Here is our first card, the Five of Cups, and this one validates what they have been enduring. The Five of Cups is grief made visible. It shows a person standing in the center of sorrow. They are fixated on what was lost between you, and they cannot redirect their attention anywhere else. The Five of Cups confirms this person mourns your absence daily, like a wound that refuses to seal. Every memory of what you shared replays on a loop, and each replay deepens the sting even further. They are surrounded by reminders of you constantly, and those reminders bring more sadness than comfort lately. They catch themselves reaching for you in small, habitual ways, only to remember the distance all over again. The Five of Cups also reveals that regret is eating at them, specifically about how this distance began. They blame themselves for pieces of it, and that self-blame has evolved into a quiet, relentless torment. What this card makes clear is that their suffering is not performative. It is profoundly raw and real. They have not moved on. They have not adjusted, and they are nowhere close to accepting this separation. The next card is the Three of Swords, and it pierces through any remaining doubt about them. The Three of Swords represents heartbreak at its most visceral, confirming they are completely shattered on the inside. This is not mild discomfort or passing nostalgia. This is a person whose chest physically aches with longing. The Three of Swords shows the separation cut them somewhere, a place they did not know could bleed. They carry that wound everywhere, into their mornings, their evenings, their conversations with people who are not you. Loving you while being apart is the single hardest thing they endure, and the cards confirm it. They have tried to numb it and distract from it, but nothing has worked to quiet the pain. Every attempt to move forward without you collapses because their heart stubbornly refuses to release this connection. What strikes me about this card beside the Five of Cups is that it doubles the intensity entirely. Two grief cards side by side is rare, and it reveals a person at their absolute breaking point. The weight of this heartbreak is not something they can mask anymore, and it is spilling into everything. They have exhausted every coping mechanism available, and still, The love outlasts every attempt to bury it. Then we have the Star, and after all that heaviness, this card arrives carrying the most vital confirmation. The Star represents hope that endures despite everything, proving that their devotion has outlasted all the suffering. No matter how much they have grieved, the Star confirms they still believe this bond can be repaired. They hold on to a quiet, persistent faith that you both are destined to find your way back together. The Star does not appear where hope has died. It only arrives when the flame still burns fiercely. Their hope is weathered but unbreakable, and it glows quietly in the part of them that still believes. This person's love for you is not a memory. It is a living, breathing force still within them. The Star confirms they would walk through any discomfort, endure any trial, just to stand beside you again. Their pain is not weakness. It is evidence of a devotion so fierce it simply cannot quit. All three cards paint an unmistakable portrait of a person drowning in pain, yet anchored entirely by love. Five of Cups showed the grief. The Three of Swords named the wound, and the Star preserved hope. This person is in agony over you, and the only remedy they seek is closing this distance.
So let us go deeper into this because your side of the story carries its own weight entirely. You've been pretending to be fine for too long, and that mask is wearing dangerously thin. The distance has affected you more than you have admitted, and the silence is becoming suffocating. You fill your days with distractions and noise, but the quieter it gets, the louder the ache grows. There is a tiredness in you that sleep cannot fix, and it sits right behind your composure daily. You miss what existed between you, and denying that has cost you more energy than you even realize. Your emotional reserves have been running dangerously low, and you have been operating on fumes for a while. Part of you wants to reach out desperately, but pride and protection keep slamming that door shut. Here is our first card for your energy, the Four of Cups, and it speaks to your withdrawal. The Four of Cups shows a person sitting in emotional refusal, turning away from what is offered. You have convinced yourself that detachment is safest, but underneath it, your heart protests every single day. The Four of Cups confirms your numbness is not peace. It is a defense mechanism built from exhaustion. You did not choose to stop feeling. You chose to stop showing it, and that difference matters enormously. Every time the emotions surface, you push them back under, refusing to let them breathe or be witnessed. The Four of Cups reveals you are rejecting comfort from others because no comfort matches what you lost. People around you have tried to help, and you have smiled through their advice, feeling absolutely nothing. That emptiness is not apathy. It is a placeholder for grief you never gave yourself permission to release. You are guarding a wound you refuse to name, and the energy required to guard it drains you. The next card here is the Nine of Swords, and it confirms what your nights have looked like. The Nine of Swords represents anxiety and the mental spiral that begins when your head hits the pillow. You replay everything obsessively after dark, searching for the moment where it all fell apart between you. The Nine of Swords shows your mind cycling through regret, anger, sadness, and longing, all before sunrise. You lie awake, running scenarios that change nothing, yet you cannot stop your brain from rehearsing them. The Nine of Swords confirms your thoughts have become your heaviest burden, louder than any external noise. You overthink until your chest tightens, and then you overthink the tightening itself until morning finally arrives. What nobody sees is the war happening behind your calm exterior, and this card exposes it without mercy. Your well-being has taken a toll you have been minimizing, and the cards are not letting you hide. Unspoken words sit on your rib cage nightly, and you have grown accustomed to breathing around their weight. You tell yourself you are healing, but the Nine of Swords confirms that recovery has not truly begun. What you have been doing is surviving, and there is a vast, important difference between surviving and recovering. Then we have the Queen of Cups, and this card reveals the most tender, guarded layer inside you. The Queen of Cups represents profound emotional intelligence, confirming you feel everything at an overwhelming depth. You are not one who loves lightly or detaches easily, and that is why this cuts so deep. Your capacity for devotion is extraordinary, and right now, that capacity is working against you with brutal force. The Queen of Cups shows you have been absorbing pain silently, holding space for grief nobody requested. You process everything internally, rarely burdening others, and that pattern has left you isolated in your suffering. The Queen of Cups confirms your emotional world is vast, but right now it feels like a cage. You crave resolution more than comfort, because no amount of comfort replaces what was actually real between you. What you want is not sympathy. You want the one connection that made everything else feel small. The Queen of Cups reveals underneath your composure lives a tenderness, so raw it frightens even you. You have been protecting that tenderness fiercely, afraid that letting it surface will overwhelm you completely. Your strength has never been questioned, but the cards say that strength without release becomes its own prison. All three cards confirm a person quietly unraveling beneath a carefully maintained exterior of composure and control. Four of Cups showed withdrawal. Nine of Swords exposed the torment, and the Queen held your depth.
Now let us come in close, because their inner world is far more shattered than they have shown. This person has been collapsing quietly behind closed doors, and nobody around them has any real idea. The separation from you did not just hurt them, it dismantled something fundamental inside their identity. They built parts of themselves around this connection, and losing access left structural damage behind. Their emotional state is not stable right now, and they have been white knuckling through every single day. They wake up heavy, move through obligations mechanically,
and return to an emptiness that swallows them whole nightly. The version of themselves that existed before this distance feels unreachable, like a stranger they once knew. They do not recognize their own reflection some mornings, because the person staring back looks hollowed and unfamiliar. Here's our first card for their energy, the moon, and it illuminates everything they have been hiding. The moon represents confusion, buried fear, and the subconscious turmoil that operates beneath the surface constantly. This person is trapped inside a fog of their own making, unable to see clearly in any direction. The moon confirms they are terrified of multiple outcomes simultaneously, and that paralysis keeps them locked in place. They fear reaching out and being rejected, and they equally fear staying silent and losing you permanently. Both paths feel devastating, so they remain frozen in a painful limbo, unable to choose either one. The moon also reveals that their nights are haunted by fragmented dreams of you, vivid and emotionally draining. They wake from those dreams disoriented, reaching for a presence that is no longer beside them anymore. The moon confirms they are not functioning from clarity. They are navigating through pure, raw instinct. Their inner compass is spinning wildly, and the only fixed point it keeps returning to is you. The next card is the King of Cups, and it reveals the emotional war raging beneath their surface. The King of Cups typically represents emotional mastery, but in this context, it shows mastery crumbling under pressure. This person has always prided themselves on composure, on being the one who holds everything together stoically. That composure is fracturing now, and the cracks are widening faster than they can patch them shut. The King of Cups confirms they are losing their grip on the control they once wore like armor. Feelings they suppressed for weeks are erupting without warning, in moments they cannot predict or prepare for. A song, a scent, a familiar location triggers a flood they have no ability to contain or redirect. The King of Cups reveals they have cried more in private than they would ever admit to anyone. Their pride refuses to let the world see that vulnerability, but behind that pride, the dam is breaking. They oscillate between desperate longing and forced indifference, and neither state brings them any genuine relief. The King of Cups confirms that their emotional foundation has been compromised, and they know it intimately. They feel exposed in a way that terrifies them, because vulnerability was never part of their original design. Then we have the Ten of Swords, and this card captures the lowest point of their emotional collapse. The Ten of Swords represents devastation, the feeling of being face down with nowhere further to fall. They have hit the floor emotionally, and they are lying in the wreckage of what used to be. Every defense they constructed has failed them. Every wall they raised has crumbled, and they feel utterly exposed. The Ten of Swords confirms they have reached the end of what they can endure, without shattering completely. They are not coping anymore. They are barely surviving, and the pretense of strength has officially collapsed. What remains underneath all that rubble is a raw, unprotected heart that still beats entirely for you. The Ten of Swords also reveals that this devastation carries a strange, hidden mercy within its darkness. Rock bottom means the only remaining direction is upward, and this person is beginning to sense that shift. They know they cannot sustain this level of suffering, and that knowledge is quietly becoming its own catalyst. All three cards confirm that this person is emotionally gutted, fractured, and barely holding the pieces together. The moon exposed confusion. The King of Cups showed crumbling composure, and the 10 named the collapse. Their pain is not theatrical or manufactured. It is bone deep, and it has rewritten their interior world. Okay, let us see what the cards are showing, because the action unfolding around this connection is undeniable. This person is no longer sitting passively in the wreckage, and the shift toward movement has already begun. Something cracked open inside them recently, and it triggered a chain of tangible external behavioral changes. They have started dismantling the barriers they place between you, one by one, with deliberate, quiet intention. The stalling is finished, the debate has concluded, and what you are about to witness is real motion. They are repositioning themselves in practical, measurable ways, and those adjustments are all oriented toward reconnection. This is not wishful thinking or idle promises. The cards confirm concrete steps are being executed right now. Here's our first card, the Knight of Cups, and this is the card of romantic pursuit arriving. The Knight of Cups represents a person riding toward you emotionally, carrying a message they intend to deliver. This person is actively preparing to reach out, and the approach will carry genuine vulnerability behind it. The Knight of Cups confirms they are crafting their words carefully, rehearsing what they want to communicate. They are not charging in recklessly. They are approaching with measured sincerity and a willingness to be honest. The Knight of Cups shows a direct conversation forming, and it is closer than you currently anticipate. This card confirms the pursuit is romantic in nature, not casual or ambiguous, but intentionally heartfelt and clear. The Knight of Cups also reveals they have been seeking advice from trusted individuals about proceeding. Every conversation they have had recently circles back to you, and the people around them have noticed it. The next card is the Page of Pentacles, and this one confirms that practical groundwork is being laid. The Page of Pentacles represents careful preparation, the kind of detailed planning that precedes a significant commitment. This person has started making tangible adjustments to their schedule, clearing space specifically for your re-entry. They are rearranging priorities with quiet efficiency, removing distractions that previously occupied your rightful position. The Page of Pentacles confirms they are treating this reconciliation as sacred, not something to rush through. They have been researching, reflecting, and identifying exactly where things fractured so they can address it properly. This is not a spontaneous outburst. This is a person constructing a thoughtful bridge back to you. The Page of Pentacles shows they have even considered the logistics, the timing, and the setting for reconnection. Small behavioral shifts are already visible if you look closely, patterns changing and habits being rearranged quietly. They are showing up differently in spaces where you might notice, and that visibility is entirely calculated. The Page of Pentacles confirms they understand words alone cannot repair this, so they pair them with action. Every step they take is designed to demonstrate seriousness, not just communicate it verbally from a safe distance. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune, and this card confirms that external circumstances are conspiring to assist. The Wheel of Fortune represents a fateful turn, the kind of shift neither of you can manufacture alone. The universe is actively rearranging the landscape around you both, creating openings that did not exist before. Coincidences are about to multiply. Unexpected encounters will surface, and the distance will shrink without forced effort. The Wheel of Fortune confirms that timing itself is rotating in favor of this connection being restored. Obstacles that once seemed immovable are loosening, and doors that were sealed are quietly swinging back open. This card says the momentum is no longer just personal willpower, it is backed by something much larger. This person senses that window intuitively, and it is accelerating their preparation with noticeable urgency now. All three cards in this section confirm structured, intentional movement, supported by forces beyond individual control. The Knight initiated the pursuit, the Page laid the groundwork, and the Wheel of Fortune opened the door. The distance between you is actively shrinking, and the steps being taken are real, measurable, and accelerating daily. Everything points to a reunion that is not hypothetical. It is already in motion and gaining undeniable momentum. So let us go ahead and dive into this because what they bury runs deeper than anything spoken. This person holds confessions inside them that would change the entire landscape of this connection instantly. They have swallowed truths so heavy that the weight of them has reshaped how they carry themselves. The words they refuse to release are not small or casual. They are seismic and relationship altering. What they want to say lives at the back of their throat, permanently trapped behind clenched teeth. They compose speeches to you in the shower, in the car, and deliver absolutely none of them. Every unsent message on their phone is a confession they typed, stared at, and deleted before pressing send. The silence between you is not empty. It is overfilled with declarations they cannot bring themselves to voice. Here is our first card, the Two of Cups, and it exposes the deepest desire they are guarding. The Two of Cups represents sacred mutual partnership, and it confirms they crave reunion at the soul level. They do not merely want you back, they want the merging of two worlds, fully and permanently restored. The Two of Cups reveals a confession they choke on daily, that you are their only emotional equal. Nobody else has ever matched them the way you did, and that recognition torments them in absolute silence. They secretly believe you were designed for each other, and that belief survives every attempt to dismantle. The Two of Cups confirms they fantasize about the moment reconciliation happens, rehearsing it obsessively in private. They imagine the exact words, the setting, the relief on your face, and it brings them to tears. The confession buried deepest is that they never stopped considering you their partner, even through all the distance. In their mind, you are still theirs, and they are still yours, and the separation is just interference. The next card is the Hermit, and this one reveals confessions that only surface in total isolation. The hermit represents withdrawal into solitude, and it confirms they retreat specifically to process feelings about you. They seek out silence not for peace, but for proximity to memories, replaying your voice inside their head. The hermit reveals they keep physical reminders of you hidden where nobody else would ever think to look. Photographs, old messages, a piece of clothing. These artifacts are shrines they visit when loneliness becomes unbearable. The hermit confirms they have whispered your name into empty rooms just to hear it spoken out loud. That confession alone reveals the staggering depth of attachment they conceal from every person around them. They tell the world they moved forward, but the hermit shows they built a private museum for you. In solitude, they admit what daylight forbids, that losing you was the single greatest miscalculation of their life. They confess to the ceiling at 3 in the morning that they would trade everything to undo it. The hermit also reveals they have bargained with fate silently, offering anything in exchange for one more chance. Their prayers are not formal or rehearsed. They are desperate, fragmented pleas, whispered between shallow, anxious breaths. Then we have the Ace of Pentacles, and this card unveils a confession rooted in permanent, tangible commitment. The Ace of Pentacles represents the desire for a brand new foundation, stable and built to outlast everything. This person secretly wants to rebuild with you from the ground up, correcting every fracture that caused collapse. They do not want a recycled version of what existed. They want something stronger, forged from earned wisdom. The Ace of Pentacles confirms they have been mentally designing a future with you, brick by detailed brick. The confession they guard most fiercely is that they already see you as the foundation of their years. They want to provide for you, protect what you build, and never allow distance to fracture it again. The Ace of Pentacles reveals this desire is not impulsive. It has been germinating in silence for months. Every sacrifice they have considered making has your name quietly written across every single line of it. All three cards expose a person overflowing with confessions they cannot release, each one heavier than the last. The Two of Cups named the craving, the Hermit preserved the evidence, and the Ace designed the future. What they hide is not uncertainty. It is an overwhelming certainty that terrifies them into sustained, unbearable silence. Every breath they take still carries your name underneath it, and every confession they swallow proves it completely. Okay, let us go into it because the near future of this connection holds extraordinary promise. The cards ahead do not carry ambiguity, and what is approaching will reshape how you experience this bond. Here is our first card for the near future, the World, and this is the card of completion. The World represents a full cycle closing, and it confirms this separation is reaching its destined expiration. What was broken between you is circling back toward wholeness, and that return is imminent and unavoidable. The World confirms the distance served a purpose, and that purpose is nearly finished with both of you. Lessons were absorbed on both sides, and now the universe is preparing to reunite what it temporarily divided. The World also signals that when reunion arrives, it will feel like returning home after a long exile. Everything that fractured will be mended with greater understanding, and the bond will emerge transformed beyond recognition. The next near future card is the Six of Wands, and it carries the energy of triumphant reunion. The Six of Wands represents victory after struggle, confirming that this connection overcomes everything stacked against it. The reconciliation approaching is not quiet or hidden. It is visible and celebrated by those who witness it. The Six of Wands shows you both emerging from this darkness together, stronger and more devoted than before. There is a public quality to this reunion, and the people around you will recognize its significance immediately. The Six of Wands confirms what you endured apart was not wasted. It was the price of transformation. For the advice card, we have Strength, and this card asks you to lead with gentle, courageous patience. Strength reminds you that force is not required here, and the softest approach yields the deepest results. The advice is to remain open without chasing, and to trust that what belongs to you will return. Strength says, do not armor yourself against vulnerability, because vulnerability is the doorway this reunion requires. Let your guard down gradually and allow this person to see the unfiltered version of your waiting heart. Strength also advises you to forgive before forgiveness is requested, because that generosity accelerates the healing. Release the scorekeeping and the mental tallies, and meet this approaching moment with a completely clean slate. The universe is asking you to be brave in the quietest way, and Strength confirms you already are. Let us revisit the message that opened this entire reading, because every card validated it without exception. The message was that this person is in deep pain, still in love, and wants the distance erased. From the opening card to this final moment, that truth was echoed and reinforced in every single section. Not one card contradicted the message, and that level of alignment across 18 cards is extraordinarily rare. The consistency across every part confirms that this reading captured something authentic, sacred, and undeniably alive. Let us walk through every card that appeared, because together they form the complete map of this bond. Five of Cups, Three of Swords, and the Star opened the reading with grief, heartbreak, and enduring hope. Four of Cups, Nine of Swords, and the Queen of Cups revealed your withdrawal, torment, and emotional depth. The Moon, King of Cups, and Ten of Swords exposed their confusion, crumbling composure, and total devastation. Knight of Cups, Page of Pentacles, and Wheel of Fortune confirmed the pursuit, the preparation, and fateful timing. Two of Cups, the Hermit, and Ace of Pentacles unveiled their confessions, hidden shrines, and permanent longing. The World, Six of Wands, and Strength sealed the reading with completion, triumph, and courageous, gentle patience. 18 cards spoke for this connection, and every one confirmed a bond that stubbornly refuses to dissolve. That is not coincidence. That is the universe holding a mirror to something sacred, demanding you see it. Whatever doubt has taken residence inside you, the cards are asking you to release it with both hands. You are profoundly loved, desperately missed, and the distance that separated you is already collapsing in on itself. This bond was never meant to end permanently, And every card that appeared today confirmed that absolute truth. This reading was meant to reach you at this moment, and I hope it brought you real comfort. Thank you for being here, for trusting this space.